What an exciting game we had on cards in the final round of the Menorca Open. Gukesh was up against Adhiban. In some ways, it's the battle of generations. Adhiban, one of India's top players, has reached 2700 before. Gukesh is this rising, upcoming talent. And I think the one who would win this game would get the first place in the tournament. So there was everything at stake here. Gukesh opens the game with d4. Adhiban goes knight f6, and whenever Adhiban is in a must-win situation, like here, he wants to come first, he plays the King's Indian defense, and that is exactly what he did here. Gukesh took the center, knight to f3, castles, bishop e2, e5, castles. And so I was expecting Adhiban to play the main line with knight c6, but he went for a very interesting move, h6. Now, this is a move that has been played in only 54 games. This position that is on the board without h6 has been played 71,800 times. And from that, you play a move h6 which is played in just 54 games. This was played by Caruana, also by Giri. Raunak Sadhwani has also played it. So, this line is becoming popular. Gukesh's response was very classical. So generally, you don't know where to put this bishop just yet. So you bring your rook here and you tuck your bishop to f1. This is a very safe way to play. And that is what Gukesh did. Queen e7 now. Again, Queen e7 is a new move. Knight b d7 has been played before, and there are many games there. Queen e7. So Adhiban was going like completely into a new position. Bishop f1 takes, knight takes, and now knight to c6. Gukesh decided to bolster the center with f3. He could have also declined the exchange and played knight c2, claiming that he has more space in the center with c4 and e4 pawns, and I think white is clearly better here. But he went f3, takes, queen takes, knight to d7, queen f2 back, and here I think Adhiban could have taken the very drastic route, because already if you look at the position, he is slightly worse. White has a nice center in the position. So take on c3, b takes c3, and then h6 is hanging from the bishop here. So you play g5 and you try to control the dark squares. This is how he could have played and hoped for that white wouldn't crash through to his king, because strategically black should be okay. But Adhiban went knight e5 and Gukesh developed his bishop e6, and he put his knight to d5. Now if you take here, then after cd5, white has a risk-free position. He has a bishop pair and the rook coming to c5, putting pressure here. So he played queen d8. And now Gukesh simply played b3, clearly understanding that there are no good discovered attacks here. G5 was played, because if you played c6, the knight would jump to f4 attacking here. So g5 stopped that. Rook came to the center, c6, and knight to b4 was played, queen a5. And this is where Gukesh comes up with a nice move here. White to play, what would you do? Okay, one of the ways to continue is knight d3. White is better, but he goes knight c2. And this is great calculation, because black can take this pawn. However, that would be a blunder. Why? Try to think. The queen is trapped. Rook a1. And now the only move, okay, there is queen b2. There's also queen takes b3. Knight f3, by the way, does not work, because after take, you can also take with, the rook a1. Here white is clearly better. So you go queen takes b3, I go rook b1, queen c3, and now there are two ways to trap the queen, bishop d4 and rook a3, both trap the queen, and so here white is winning. Adhiban went rook a d8, and now the knight jumped to d4. So by just maneuvering a bit, white has got a perfect position here with all his pieces nicely placed, and now Gukesh builds it up further with rook d2. Slowly, I think knight f5 was also possible here, but maybe he did not like that after takes this position. Perhaps Gukesh was not very happy with. So he played rook d2, and here Adhiban had a chance to break in the center with d5. After ed, cd and c5, I still think white is slightly better. You can't take the pawn on c5 just yet because of knight e6 attacking the queen and also the rook. And white should be slightly for preference here, but Adhiban was very passive. He goes rook f e8, Gukesh doubles, knight g6, and now knight goes to e2. Bishop e5, looking at the f4 square perhaps, so g3 in the air, and now the bishop dropped back. So Adhiban has just softened up the pawn structure a bit. Now later he wants to go knight e5 and g4. When the f3 point would be weak, there could be tactics on e4. So Gukesh decides it's time now to capture the pawn on a7. Now, is this a case of the game between Fischer-Spassky, where you have gone Spassky-Fischer game 1 of the World Championship match, where you have taken a pawn and actually trapped your bishop? White to play. What did Gukesh do here? Yes, the bishop is trapped, but not really. Bishop b8 is the move that Gukesh had seen, and now white is pressurizing this pawn as well. He's pawn up. He's going to win another pawn. Here, the best way to continue would have been bishop f8, bishop d6, rook e6, bishop f4, takes, queen a2. And although white is better here after bishop e3, because my threat is rook d8 with the idea of bishop c5, you can't really win the b3 pawn. It's still a fight. The game is still going on. But Adhiban played knight to e5. The moment he played knight e5, Gukesh now chopped off another pawn. He asked Adhiban, what are you planning? And Adhiban said, well, there is a pin here on this file because your rook is undefended. I have pressure, so you are not really threatening to take this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack you further with bishop f8 and hope that I will get some play. The best move in this position was g4. And you're threatening basically to come here. And I think this could have created some issues. bg2, takes, knight f3, queen f3. And white is still better. But black can continue fighting here. Maybe b5 has some good, at least some play. There is some pressure down here. But he played bishop f8, and now I leave it up to you. What should white play in the position? One very powerful move is f4. But you really don't want to play that move because of knight g4. But after queen f3, there is nothing happening. So actually f4 is clearly winning. But Gukesh found another cute way. He took on e5. And his point is that after rook d2, what is the move that Gukesh came up with? It's an important move to have foreseen. Yes. Bishop c3, attacking the queen and the bishop and the rook. And yeah, game is over. You can't do much. And white is 2 pawns up. He took, knight takes, rook takes, king takes. And this is just trivial victory. You can see how Gukesh converted this quite easily. He first won the bishop. Okay, it's opposite colored bishop, but rook is on the 7th rank. He now got his bishop to a good diagonal here from h3. Oops, sorry. Bishop c8, king e3, takes. Putting the bishop on c4, putting the pawn on a4, slowly improving the king position. This is all baby stuff for Gukesh, and he managed to win this game. Brilliant, well played by Gukesh. Brilliant result for the young boy. He won the Menorca Open. Let me just show you a few pictures from the tournament. This is his photo of winning the first prize. He got 1600 euros, but more importantly, he gained a lot of ELO points. This is the final prize distribution ceremony here. Gukesh receiving the prize. He finished first, and a big congratulations to Aryan Chopra as well, Indian GM, who finished second. We had Sethu Raman finishing fifth, Raunak seventh, Nihal eighth, Arjun ninth, and Adhiban 10th. So a lot of Indians doing well, but Gukesh clearly performing unbelievably, performing at 2784, gaining 13 elo points, and now his live rating, guys, is 2660. He is India number 5 now. So there is Anand, Vidit, Hari Krishna, SL Narayanan on 2662, and then Gukesh, India number 5. And very likely that Gukesh will be in India's first team for the Olympiad. And also look at this 23 elo points gained in the last few months. He's become world number 80. So tremendous performance by Gukesh. And with that, I'll leave you. Maybe I'll try to get Gukesh on stream and do an interview with him to get his thoughts on his tremendous run. For now, this is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.